Hello, hello. And it's not a Wednesday, but we are back in the world of The Witness. I didn't really choose to be here, but I guess when it comes to Jonathan Blow, we don't get to make these decisions. It just happens to us. And in the time I've been away, I've learnt a few things about The Witness. Specifically from, Tracy from Outer Spacey. Watching her play, she showed me what these obelisks are for. So, let's get into it. Okay, I can't see any of the things that were on Spacey's stream. But I do see one right now. Okay, let's see. Here. Is that actually Jonathan Blow's, handle? Because, that would be some serious dedication. This is what blew my mind. Yep. I'm addicted to Blow. Specifically the movie with, what's his name in it? Pee-wee. Oh, okay, you just made it up. It would have been serious dedication to the bit if you looked up Jonathan Blow's actual handle. But this is what blew my mind watching Outer Spacey Tracy's scene. There are more of these fucking line circle things in the world. And that's what these black obelisks are for. I keep calling them obelisks. What are they called? Monoliths. That's what I meant. An obelisk would have a point. But monolith, 2001. So, keep an eye out for any kind of circles or line thingies going on. Because that's what we're going to be doing today, I think. And that's kind of pointing in the same direction. So I wonder if... Oh, yep, I can see other lines now. Obelisk and asterisk. Did you read those much in Finland? I remember reading them a lot as a kid. And, not really understanding them, but reading them anyway because they were comic books in the school library. And, looking back on them now, they're kind of, racially charged. They like to make stereotypes out of a lot of different people, which is interesting. Oh, I see another circle thing. Can't do it. Okay. Well, let's have a wander around and have a look at this big gray circle thingy. And of course, they've got those live-action movies now of Asterix and Obelisk, which seem to be, doing, gangbusters. Doing gangbusters. How old am I? A thing people still say? There's one. But I wonder if I could... Ooh, yeah, I might be able to... Wait, no. Oh, but maybe if I... And over here, they had Gerard Depardieu. Gerard Depardieu is a name I know, and I can even put a face to the name. But I'm not sure I've ever seen a Gerard Depardieu movie or know what movies he's in. Nope, that's not it. A little bit more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. No? What are we missing? Need to be able to see that much, but also get enough angle there. If I come in a bit more, then how do I get down? Oh, like that, maybe. An absolute bastard. Gerard Depardieu. I don't know much about the man, other than, he's very French, I think. Okay, so we've got two pointing this way. Does that mean there are... Oh yeah, I can see... I can definitely feel like there's more lines here. I just... work the angles right. I feel like this is going to be most of the stream. It's just me slowly making tiny adjustments as I try and... find all the lines in the world. Oh. Ah... It kind of like a certain Steven Seagal. That kind of palling around with dictators and whatnot. Huh. What's going on here? I feel like it must be that they need, like... What's going on there? Can I do anything with this circle there? And there's more... Oh, that looks like... I feel like the lines must need this kind of rounded end to be correct. So those are also, like, important, yeah. So if I start there and try and work my way back to... No, there's a big gap there. Yeah, maybe back here. And over a bit. Down a bit. Oh, that's too big a gap. We're crouching. Yeah, there is that certain breed of a celebrity where they just... Oh, going all over the place there. But that's not where I wanted to go. I want to go here. Maybe if I come in a bit more. Try and get that to match the... How do I... Any do you... Yeah, see what I mean? Like, he's kind of like, almost like a parody of like, what you think of a French man. You know, being like drunk all the time, kind of. And also just being like, kind of gross looking. Not that I think of French people as being kind of gross looking. But, you know, he's a real caricature almost. Oh no, all my French viewers are going to be so irate at me. Oh, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Oh, come on, you. On January 3rd, 2013, President Vladimir Putin signed an executive order granting Russian citizenship to Depardieu, 68. In his first interview thereafter, Depardieu attacked Putin's critics for lacking vision. Yeah. I mean, I don't... I don't get it. I mean, I guess that you know, especially someone like Depardieu or Seagal, they don't actually like, they don't make any money now. You know, they're shitty kind of big grade actors that have used up all their goodwill. So like, where else are they going to get like funding from, other than dictators and whatnot who just want to pay to be their friend and you know, cash in on the last of their credibility, as it were. Gropey alcoholics. Yep. Hang on, let's go back up there to the obelisk and see if we can see any more outlines on the thing. Yeah. Coasting in on the old glory days. And, you know, there's also that kind of... I mean, especially with people like Seagal, where they were already, like, so kind of inherently kind of fashy, you know, very much lost in their own heads about their own kind of narratives and whatnot. I feel like I say whatnot too often. Okay, I see a circle in there, but that green plant is in the way. I've got to look at this from an angle that gets rid of the green plant. How do I do that? But that must make... maybe that one there? That one looks like really far away. How would I do something like that? You know, Seagal, you know, obviously, like, responds very well to, you know, strongman kind of ideals. Where would I stand? Get a big square shape like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially, you know, if he's basically causing DUIs all the time. He's basically just an alcoholic who just needs to be kept in, you know, his lifestyle. Why does this path even exist? Maybe this is the end of a... Oh, maybe not. Now I'm going to be looking at every single path, wondering if that's a... That's definitely a circle over there, that pipe. Oh, I see something there as well. See that orange bit over there? I find the right angle for that. I still want to focus on this temple first. There's a girl that's been on my mind all the time, studio. She don't even know my name. There's also a section dedicated to his crimes relating to aforementioned gropiness and more. Depardieu's or Seagal's? I mean, because they're both. I mean, Seagal, fucking hell. You look into his stuff. That man is... Wow. He's an absolute monster of a human being. Depardieu, yep. Now I'm looking at all these lines here and this, and I'm like, is there anything there? Oh. Uh-huh. These... What are these? Like, gourds? But like... I mean, I guess gourds do grow, like, on vines, but I thought they grow on the ground, not from... They're not climbing vines. I bet they definitely run in the same circles. I don't know if Seagal would, have much patience for French accents. He probably has some, like, weird kind of racism. I feel like... I don't know, Seagal probably isn't really friends with anyone, really, but probably doesn't have the time of day for anyone who isn't, like, immediately worshipping him. And, Depardieu seems like the kind of person who, doesn't really worship anyone. He'll just, I mean, he seems like he's almost, perpetually drunk, so... Square. Maybe I'm doing it from the wrong side. Maybe the... I want to get higher. Is there a way to get higher up here? Yeah, I definitely can imagine them being at the same parties. Maybe there? Yeah, Seagal seems like the kind of guy who wouldn't notice someone standing in front of him. Yeah. I mean, he was, like, kind of made to be, like, you know, this kind of propagandist of, British propagandist, you know. You'd look into, like, his life story, and all of it is just such bullshit. And so much just kind of... He's the ultimate in, like, cultural appropriation as well. And it just, you know, that kind of... The idea of, you know, some white guy being... Why are these all curved? That feels very elaborate. Question is, where do I stand to see it? Above, maybe? No, being a karate master and being, you know, raised in the mystic arts and stuff. Like, you look at all of his old interviews. I mean, it's just crazy that that man had a career at had a career in the first place. You know, in a better world, Seagal would have been just purely like a Tommy Wiseau kind of character. Rather than, actually having somewhat of a legitimate film career at one stage. He's very adept at finding justifications for shitty actions and really good at believing his own bullshit. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, ultimately like kind of narcissist mindset, that kind of unwillingness to, that kind of fear of having your ego wounded is really at the core that, leads to people just arguing in bad faith, caring only about, winning an argument rather than actually getting to the truth of any matter. Or, accepting that even out of, ooh, this is a higher up ledge that I didn't know existed. Okay. Can I see from up here? Oh, there we go. Come on. Be a circle. Is there anything more I can do with this one? Yeah, nah, that's all we done. Or... that it? What about these white bits? Maybe these white bits do something as well? I shouldn't just be focusing on these dark grey bits. Maybe there's more in, like, the negative space. But yeah, that kind of, caring only about protecting the ego in the immediate, that kind of, fragility of the ego. There's just so many, like, bad faith actions in the world. You've got to kind of, be willing to be humbled. Almost all the time, really. That's what, kind of makes people, just unable to be funny even, is that, an unwillingness to be seen as goofy. You're lucky you have no ego. You have no ego either, but you have no ego. So you're super humble. Yeah. That's what's great about you and me, Hattie. We're just two super humble people. Probably the most humble. There are few people more humble than us. And, that's what makes us so great. It's just how incredibly, incredibly humble we are. Okay, I'm looking at these white bricks. Is there a... I mean, I guess we should be still focusing on looking for circles, but, it's like those rocks. The circle didn't become apparent until I was standing in exactly the right place. Did the green... Is there more to the green? Is there a... What about that big rock there? That feels like something. Is there an angle that I need to get just... Oh, is that it? Is that a circle there? Is there... I line up these bits of path, maybe? Like, obviously there's no competition or prizes, but we definitely win if there was. Not that I want a trophy or nothing. But now I sort of want to order a trophy that says, World's Humblest Person, 2022, Big Hattie. Yeah. I mean, not to brag or anything, but I'd say I'm probably more humble than you, Hattie, so... I guess, we'd have to leave it up to the determination of the judges, really. Oh, what about this? Huh? Hi, McGoop. Did I get some sleep? Did I get some sleep? Not really. I feel like I haven't slept in days. At least not properly. been feeling really anxious lately. But we were just talking about how humble we are here. You know, we were just saying that I'm probably the most humble person in the world. And, you know, I don't mean to brag or anything, but, you know, I'm pretty proud of that fact. You're so humble that you will let... See, that's your problem, is by being that humble, you're no longer the most humble person in the world. Kind of a catch-22. Because you've allowed me to take the most humble title, but therefore I need to be more humble. So I'll let you take that title, Hattie. Because I realize that if you're not the most humble person in the world... No, my brain just broke. I can't continue that sentence. No. Clearly... No, honestly, my brain is just too fried to try and continue this argument, this joke argument. Oh, boat. Boat's over there. Maybe we should try the boat. But yeah, how's things with you, Magoo? What have you been up to lately? Have you been very humble lately? Oh, okay. Boat. I know, it's so pretty, but also so still and calm. Boat. Okay. Let's try going to here. Oh yeah, and there's that thermometer thing there we need to fill out. Okay, here it comes, I think. Come on. Whoop. Still moving. Here we go. Just got back to work today? Or at least you get to work from home today. Oh, that's good. Come on. Keep going. Boat. Oh, no, don't. Ah, you son of a... I was definitely onto something there. I think. No. What else do we see? Shout out if you see any circles or anything in the environment. That's what we've learnt in the interim, is that there are more line puzzles in the environment. We need to find them. That's what they are. That's true, Magoo. Maybe you are the most humble, because you didn't even bring up how humbled you were while me and Hattie were having our discussion. And therefore, we must both be the most humble. And allow you to take that award, Magoo. The more you decline being humble, the humbler you are. But if you do so, knowing it is to appear more humble, wouldn't that negate it? But if you are aware that doing so makes you seem less humble in others' eyes, and you still do it, knowing that would make people think someone else is more humble, wouldn't that be selfless, and as such make you in reality more humble in any case? Unless you are also doing that for selfish reasons, then yeah. Well, that's the other thing, you know, as I was saying, it, like humility and that kind of narcissism are like opposite ends of the spectrum, because we got here from talking about Steven Seagal, didn't we? And that kind of like, but yeah, you can, there is that kind of altruistic narcissism that you can see in people, where like people can be like super left wing and pretend to be very caring, but it's all about only actually like caring about how you're perceived by other people. It's not about like, you know, trying to make the world a better place or anything. It's just about appearances. And, you know, functionally, maybe there isn't any difference. As long as, you know, you keep those kinds of altruistic narcissists kind of at arm's length. You know, it's better to have them be altruistic narcissists than just, you know, selfish narcissists. But, you know, if you allow yourself to become emotionally close to those kinds of people, it can be just devastating because it's a never-ending black hole. You know, you can feed all that emotion into them and you'll never get kind of anything in return. There'll never be an equal kind of exchange. You know the way a relationship, you know, I mean in the broad sense of relationship, there'll never be that kind of back and forth, that partnership, if you will, that, you know, any kind of healthy emotional bond should be. You know, and I think that's a lot what a lot of people, to get too political here, but like I think that's how a lot of like the right viewed Hillary Clinton as that kind of altruistic narcissist, and even people on the left, the more pragmatic amongst the Democrats and stuff, are like, yeah, she's like only doing it to look good, but like it's better than having someone not doing it to look good, which, you know, I guess was the ultimate choice in the 2016 election. Was, you know, between two narcissists, essentially. But, you know, I think that's more about their public personas. You know, I can't really speak to, nor would I want to try and actually diagnose such public people from afar, Goldwater rule and whatnot. Yeah, if you donate to orphanages for the reason of being adored, you're doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Did I say ignored or adored? But in practice, the deed still stands on its own. Yeah, functionally, you have been a benefit to society. And I would prefer that you know, be a benefit to society than not. But emotionally, you know, you just got to kind of let those people do their own thing. Give them the pat on the back, but don't get close to... Okay, so I can't go this far back because everything fades away. Now, I do believe I have the... I mean, I can't imagine Jonathan Blow would put puzzles that require a higher... No, I can believe that because he put those goddamn sound puzzles in the game, which I still haven't completed. Because screw you, Jonathan Blow, for not making your games more accessible. Accessibility in games, I feel, is just something so important, especially for a puzzle game. Because so many, like, disabled gamers play puzzle games, you know, because they're often ones that don't require, you know, fast reflexes and, you know, intricate controls. You know, I feel like the point and click community in particular has probably been like the longest source of like gaming that is accessible to everyone. You know, from way back in like the 90s when it was at its peak to now. Accessibility and universal design helps everyone. And yeah, that's also like an interesting argument into like, you know, I guess Jonathan Blow would make the argument, and I don't know that he's necessarily wrong, but like, you know, his game is essentially a work of art, and trying to make it more accessible isn't necessarily the point of that work of art. It doesn't help you, so it's pointless, but you'll support it to seem more humble. Exactly, Hattie. Exactly. Like, I was thinking about, what was it? What's it called? The web, the cocoon? Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up now. But there it was this place in, I think it's in New York City. It's basically like these sets of stairs that curve upwards, up into the middle of nowhere. And, you know, it was this big, art piece and stuff. But like they built it and it's a bunch of stairs. Like, so like obviously to beat a code, you have to put an elevator in because, like, you know, you can't just build a bunch of stairs and not have it be accessible. But also at the same time, like, it's a work of art, and altering it alters the actual art. And I don't know, it's just a really interesting thing to think about. Mind you, you know, I think ultimately it's a pretty shitty piece of art. Like, I think it's cool, but I can't believe that they built it without putting in things like a elevator and stuff to begin with. It seems like so elementary that I can't believe they thought they would ever get away with not doing it. But in the end, you know, all it was a massive staircase in the middle of, like, New York City, and it's surrounded by buildings on all sides, basically. Like, there's not like there's any nice views or anything up there. And they've had to close it down because, like, 3 people have all jumped off it, you know, because it's New York and it's fucking depressing, and we've gone through, like, one of the most depressing times in, like, recent memory. What with, you know, COVID and stuff. And, like, they kept trying to, it kept happening, and they kept trying to add more preventative measures and stuff, and it just kept happening. And it's just like, this is New York. Of course people are going to do that if you allow them to climb up anywhere high. Like, you know. It just seemed like the biggest folly, like, on so many levels. I just don't know why anyone thought it was a good idea to build it in the first place. Oh, hello. You're bright and yellow. Oh, where did that go? I think they went to the desert one. Well, I don't know, it went there. Wow. Had the Doppler effect and everything. Okay, just the one on this side. Yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but also at the same time, it's a massive undertaking that would have required so many people looking at it at so many stages of planning. And it's just like, how did this continue to go ahead? How is this not vetoed at one point or another? That's a peculiar one. A circle that goes straight down. Seems to be in the direction of the castle. Oh, we didn't do, hang on, let's call the boat back. Here's the boat. Here he comes. Here comes the boat. And yeah, you know, ultimately, I think that's the best word for things like that is, like, folly. Because, like, so many times along the way, they must have been told, like, you can't do this. Like, it's just not feasible. It's a bad idea. And yet they kept doing it. Hattie. That staircase made it through so many steps, and at every level, someone decided, not my job, and now we're all flawed. Oh, there we go. That's something. What? How do I change direction? Oh, I can. Don't rail you for your puns? Ugh. Ding 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 ding. Chugga 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 boat boat. Chugga 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 boat boat. There's one. I feel like there's more, because I saw around the edge. I've already got you. Let's go back. Chugga boat boat. considering my tone of voice, you reconsidering whether or not to escalate. Actually, I don't mind it at all. By and large, I'm just largely indifferent to puns. I don't find them. No! Don't kill me. Maybe if I come from a land down under, be a beardless flower, mensch under. Can't you hear that thunder? Aye, Super Doorman. Escalation is always the best policy. Exactly. You understand nuclear warfare. And for that, you were the most humble. They say puns are the lowest form of humor. Like, I'm just indifferent to puns. You know? I don't find them cringy. I don't find them groan-worthy. But, like, I'm also not crazy about them. Like, an actual good pun, I find, is just, like, kind of witty to the point of being, you know, kind of... I don't know what the right word is, but, highbrow? You know, Fraser-esque almost. Like, you're enjoying your own cleverness when you're making one. You got to work, Lurk, but you're listening? Well, thanks, Magoop, for stopping by, giving your opinions. You are indeed the most humble. And, yeah, thanks for lurking. Lazy sarcasm is lower? Yeah, you're right there, Soupy Doorman. It is, yeah. Sarcasm and, like, I guess, like, irony poisoning. Kind of like two things that go, why is that all reflected there? I thought I'd be able to see. I'd be able to see. Maybe it's to stop me. Forced references in general are probably the cringiest. I don't know. I do have a place in my heart for reference humor. You know, Community does a lot of reference humor. That's one of my favorite shows. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, for a lot of its run, was purely just references, and I still love that show, and I love Little Kribo, even if he does get down on himself about how much of his career has just been referencing other people's actual comedy. Yeah. It is weird, that kind of instinct. Don't get that reference. I feel like maybe the biggest thing that I do reference-wise is the way I break out into song, just because some certain phrase reminded me of a lyric. You've only watched the Community once, but loved it? Yes. Community, I've owned like every the DVD each season as it came out, basically. I love that show so much, and I've watched it so many times. It is just infinitely rewatchable to me. And I also feel like I'm learning when something's so reference heavy. You know, I can go then look up what the references are, and I feel like I'm gaining more insight. I guess it's, you know, the biggest piece of like reference work would be like Finnegan's Wake or something, where, you know, you basically have to read entire other books dissecting all the different layers of references in it to understand, you know, what's even fucking going on. Well, that yellow is clearly one. Oh, and we didn't do the color puzzles either. Another accessibility thing where I'm like, you could not do this if you were even slightly colorblind. Well, I'm not, or at least I don't think I am colorblind, and I still don't understand how I did half these puzzles. Obscure references are good. At worst, nobody gets it and flies under the radar. And at best, you form a connection with someone over a shared interest over a niche subject. Yeah, that's true. There is definitely an overly broadness. But then again, you know, The Simpsons is probably such a good show in that... You know, you can reference it immediately and be like the shorthand, and it's not... I don't know, yeah, references are an interesting thing in that it really depends on how you're doing it and stuff. I think, you know, we have this idea of like the cringiest kind of comedian is that kind of guy at the water cooler who just kind of spouts it. That, you know, the person who watches like Big Bang Theory, and I actually don't mind Big Bang Theory that much. I do think it's got some fucking awful gender politics at its heart, but I mean, I guess Big Bang Theory is kind of like the Michael Bay of like sitcoms, in that it's very reflective of like American pop culture, and that's why it's such a success. Like, it isn't trying to improve on it; it's just trying to take the worst elements, combine them into like what people love, and like it does it very well. I mean, if I make a Mountain Blade reference and someone gets it, I'm very happy, but I don't expect anyone to. Yeah. Yeah. If it's subtle, yeah. There's a manga you like, but it's full of double meaning, misunderstandings, puns, and references. Easier to understand with all the explanations from the translator in the margins. Harder in the anime, as they're all Japanese references I have no idea of. That is something I love the most, is puns in other languages, and having them explained to me is so much fun. I feel like it's a really fun way to learn language. And of course, Japanese is probably one of the most puntastic languages that exists, in that, because of its limited use of phonemes, which, you know, also makes it the easiest to kind of create synthetic voices for, hence Vocaloids like Hatsune Miku. Shuni Miku. Because, you know, when you have those limited phonemes, a lot of things sound the same, which, you know, it just makes it right for those kinds of... That's definitely a line there. How do I... Oh, and there it is. How do I do this? Hang on, can I get up higher? Yes, I can. I can... Wait, no, I haven't been up to the top of the tower. But I feel like if I... Oh. Is there... Maybe if I can change the light in there, I can make a... Phonemes, the noises we make. Are you genuinely confused, or are you just making another pun? Phonemes are like the smallest, well, probably not the smallest, but the tiny parts of language that are the sounds we make in language that make up syllables, basically. So, you know, like PH makes a noise. That's like a phoneme. But like... I don't know why I picked PH. That's a very uncommon... Oh, you've talked with Wizzle, so you know what they are. How is Wizzle doing? I certainly miss seeing them around all the time. You know, you don't really realize what you've got till it's gone, kind of thing. In that, like, I didn't realize how, like, integral Wizzle is to Leo's community and stuff. You know, he's always there, always saying hi. He's not in great condition? Oh, that fucking sucks. You know? Yeah, I hope so too. Like I was saying, how much I miss him being around all the time and stuff. I really... He deserves, you know, the best, basically. Seems like a really nice person. Oh, we haven't done this yet. So what are we doing? Oh, we haven't done this yet. Maybe that's why I couldn't do this orange thermometer line thing before. Maybe if I can open this up, that'll do something. Okay, so we want to keep the blacks and whites apart, and we want to make Tetris shapes, so maybe something like that. Maybe more like this. And how do I make that shape? That fine? Yes, that's fine. Ah, see this door opening. I bet that fills in the gap. Lots of waiting for appointments to specialists. You need to shoot him a message again? Yeah. Yeah, I should, shoot him a message. Why are you angry? What do you want from me, Triangles? I don't understand you. Okay, that's happy. Is it because 2 lines passed on either side of the square that it is? There are 2 triangles. Maybe that's it. That must be it, but why? What is your purpose, Triangles? Oh, yeah, and here's the back door to... I wonder if we could try this now. If we're swapping things out, right? It would go... Well, let's think. Can't go there, can't go there. So we have to go up here. I swapped this with that. Can't rotate them, but I can swap their positions, the other ones. This soundscape reminds you of the Moomin anime from the 90s. Moomin are weird. Like, it's such a, weird kind of cultural phenomenon in that, you know, they existed as this European thing that, like, became popular in Japan, which then somehow reinfected, like, the more English-speaking world, I feel like. I feel like that's how that happened. Like, it didn't escape, What language are the Moomin originally in? Are they Swedish? Stop motion Moomin from the 80s is the only Moomin you love. Okay. I'm not familiar with the stop motion Moomin. Although that does remind me of, like, the Wumbles. They weren't stop motion, but I remember loving the Wumbles when I was a kid. Swedish. Very disconcerting feeling. Well, yeah, stop motion is so interesting in that it is so kind of like creepy in a way that like even puppets can't be. Like there's an inherent creepiness to the, stop motion that can be like really enjoyable almost. From a Swedish speaking Finn like me, summer home is not far from here. Yeah, I do remember reading up on her and stuff. Not that long ago. Well, all these lines here are definitely something. And that's a big circle. Oh, maybe that's it. Is that the trick? Yep, there's one. And I see another little reflective coin up there. How do I do this? Circle, circle, circle. Oh, there we go. That's something. Now the question is, what are all these other circles doing? How do I can't get the lines down there because they're different colors. Oh, actually, I can climb up inside this thing, can't I? Just say the word. This game is so far from what you have the patience for. I'm kind of digging it now that I've come back to it, and now that I'm kind of doing this kind of... I mean, I kind of dug it before, at least until I got to all those sound puzzles. At that point, I'm just like, nah, screw you, Jonathan Blow. before that, I mean, now that I like these negative space kind of puzzles, and really, that rock is clearly the same rock as that color as that line. I should be able to draw over it. Okay. You say I can't. Problem is, when I get to that reflective, how do I make you glow? Look there. Okay. Where are we going from there? Really? Not gonna wanna light up for me? Them boys light up. Them boys light up. Them boys light up, light up. Oh, is that how we're doing it? Is that where we're going? Look at that. Are we allowed to post links? You can try. I don't know how it's set up. Yeah, no, I think I have like all the moderation turned off. I'm mostly reliant on you, Big Hattie. Although I can jump into the chat to mod if I need to. What have you sent us, Soupy Doorman? Let's just head on over to just chatting. Have a look. Oh yeah, hang on. Oh, hang on. I don't know if there might be. I have no idea if this music will be copyrighted, so maybe I won't jump over. Oh, that is weird. That combination of like stop motion with like these kind of like 2D elements that are kind of just hanging in space. Oh, that is very disconcerting. Oh, that is super creepy. Oh, wow. That is, I mean, it's stunningly beautiful in the same way. Like, it's such an interesting mixture of styles, but... Oh, if you're confused as to what we're watching, Super Doorman sent a link to the 80s stop motion moments that he was talking about. They were talking about. That's crazy. But yeah. Oh. Man, I can't even remember what I was talking about. But I don't know. After all that, now I'm just thinking about... Feels like the ultimate, well, not ultimate, but like the classic stop motion, I think that most people would be familiar with, more from a pop cultural standpoint than like necessarily even their own experience. Would be like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Baskin & Robbins. Yeah, oh, come on, go around the... Just say the word. There's a girl that's been on my mind all the time. So studio. Did we do this one? I forget. Oh, we did do that one. Are there any more in there? I guess I'd have to go look at the obelisk to find out. Which is all the way over there. Okay. We also didn't finish Deep Underground, the underwater chamber. We've got a DVD box set of the whole thing, which is in German and English, with the English version being edited down. Okay. Ah! Of course. Of course. Wallace and Gromit, the first thing that popped to mind. Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, Wallace and Gromit is so well done that I forget almost that they are stop motion, and, you know, really did put stop motion kind of on the map. It's like a thing, you know, something that you can use and not be... But, you know, the Baskin & Robbins jumps out to me just because of that lower kind of quality to it, that you really do feel the stop part of the stop motion. Yeah, I do remember loving the Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, and I guess now that you say it, I do feel like they were on around Christmas time, and stuff. Perhaps because that's when the summer break happens here, and, you know, they're good family movies. Man, whatever happened to Chicken Run? And they're making a sequel to Chicken Run, but it's not going to have Mel Gibson in it, because apparently Mel Gibson was in Chicken Run, and I had completely forgotten that. But that was a big movie when I was a kid that hasn't had any lasting kind of cultural impact. That's a circle there. Is that a circle? Am I losing my mind? I feel like that's a circle. How do I get up there? Oh, Rolf Harris. Whoa. Oh, come on, let me up. But yeah, the one, and that's also again going back to the Wallace and Gromit. So disconcerting. That one where they go to the moon. Pat and Matt. I'm not familiar with Pat and Matt. But yeah, the one where they go to the moon and they meet that robot there, and he's so sinister and scary, and also creepy up there on the moon. Oh, Postman Pat. Yes, of course, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Fireman Sam. For some reason, there's like an 80s song that always reminds me of like the old opening for Fireman Sam. Bob the Builder, yes, was a classic. At least in its time, that theme song was inescapable. Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can. Oh, we haven't done this yet either. Where's this cable go? Over there? What's the... Oh, it goes to the boat shed. Let's go to the boat shed, where we first met the boat. Bertha? Not sure what Bertha is. And yeah, tell me more about Pat and Matt, Hattie. One of the forgotten ones, like Charlie Chop. Oh, you're gonna have to make me Google all these names now. You realize that? Okay, here's that cable. It's not lit up. Looks like we need to get up there to do it. And to get up there, we need to go over here. And I guess to do this, we need to do this. Okay. How do balls work again? They want to be paired up? Oh, fuck. I don't remember how balls work. Pat and Matt, you've sent a link. It's... Jump on over to just chatting. Have a look and open that up. Pat and Matt. Czech and Slovak. Pat and Matt. Oh, they look vaguely familiar. It's a Czechoslovak slapstick stop-motion animated series created by Lubomir Benes and Vladimir Jiranak. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Characters first appeared in the theatrically released short Tinkers in '78, while the first made-for-TV episode, Wallpaper, was produced 3 years later. As of 2021, 129 episodes of the show have been released. It has been syndicated in a large number of countries due to its lack of dialogue. Well, that reminds me of it reminds me of what is it? This is a far more recent show that you probably wouldn't be familiar with it, because like it was already like a little bit too young for me when I was a child when it came out. So, and I don't think it's had the staying power that like your kids would be familiar with it. But what was it called? A Town Called Panic. Love that show. Ah, welcome in, Astrid. And yes, we have returned to the blowhole. Oh, and I need to switch back to the game because that's how streaming works. You saw A Town Called Panic at the cinema? Yeah, I love Town Called Panic. It's this horse, a cowboy, and I want to say a Native American, which is a bit, yeah, but it's, you know, all mumbling, like, it's all, I think it's originally French, and it's a great show. I don't know, there's something about, like, it's just weird abstractness that I really love about it, and I just love it because, you know, also, it's this kind of low-effort stop motion that you can kind of feel. It feels like, you know, watching someone play with toys almost, in a very weird way. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get at, Hattie, is that, you know, there's obviously that big gap of, like, you know, you'd be way more aware of kids stuff now that you have kids, but there's that gap between when you were a kid and when you have kids, where, like, all that kid stuff just kind of falls into the void. Ah, there was a show 2002 to 2009. In 2009, they released a film. Yeah, Town Called Panic. Love that show. It's also weird because like it's done in French, but like there's also like no dialogue. It's just mumbling and all that stuff. But they still had to like redub it because I guess like I don't know why. I guess they just had to. Fairly Odd Parents. Yep. Yeah. That was another one of my childhood. There were like these Nicktoon kind of stuff that we only like occasionally got. We only got like small amounts of episodes as they entered syndication and went on free to air over here. That like I could tell was like higher quality stuff than like whatever the normal free to air channels were producing. But so like they were. I was desperate for them, but we also only got so few episodes. We only got the amount that went into syndication, typically like the first 65 episodes. Your Dead Zone is like 2000 to 2015. Yeah. Yeah, oh God, we've been talking about everything. Astrid, do you remember how balls work? I remember losing my mind when I was trying to work with these balls. And spiky balls are in the treetops. Maybe we should take the boat. Back to the treetops. Because I feel like they pair up. Flush this game out of your memory the second you gave up on it. Oh, yeah. Well, I gave up on it because I got to those sound puzzles and it was just like, this is just inaccessible to me. It's such an overload of noise. It's like everything I hate. And like, fuck you, Jonathan Blow, for putting it in your game without, you know, having the option to, I don't know, have an easier time parsing it. Parsing it, not passing it. You know, I watch Cartoon Network stuff like Johnny Bravo, Two Stupid Dogs, Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls have that great, like 1950s kind of intro. I love that intro. That intro for the Powerpuff Girls is just the fucking best. And they also have that kind of hyper stylized 1950s-ish kind of. I wish I had the words for it. I think it's something like Corona Films. And who did Gerald McBoing Boing, the original like short film? That animation studio where they have that kind of that animation style that's kind of you feel it's like reminiscent of like Fallout and that kind of ray gun gothic era. Around the time SpongeBob was relatively new. Never got a lot of SpongeBob, but what we did get was just so good and so memorable. But again, that was another one of those ones that it was another like Nicktoon property. So like we only got the small amounts that sometimes got a line there. Yeah, we're just. If that's the line there, where's the circle? Something to do with the boat? Can I? Yeah. There were the kids who had, you know, cable TV, who had Foxtel. Was really the only option when I was a kid. And the kids who didn't, and we were the kids who didn't, basically. Actually, can I can do puzzles from far away. Can I send the boat off? Without having to get in it? Hi, boat. Oh. There we go. Ooh, I see a circle. There's a circle on the boat butt. Come back, boat butt. There's definitely something there. Bear that in mind. I'm still not closer to figuring out this. Oh. Looks like something. You really love puzzle games, and I love puzzles in my games, but not this one. Yeah. I enjoy how Jonathan Blow teaches us. I don't enjoy some of the places he takes us to. He really likes to try and teach us patience. Which, you know, I guess is a fine enough skill. But the thing about learning patience is that the only real way to teach it is to force it on people, and most people don't respond well to being forced to learn. You know, I feel like I've learned way more about stuff and things when I'm not forced to do it. You know, I've learned way more high school science after I left high school because, you know, it was free for me to just dip in and dip out and look at the bits I found interesting rather than having to worry about it. You love the puzzles in Secret World, but there's also ones that you definitely hate? Yeah, I get that. It's funny how in the UK, shows that barely got one short series seemed as popular as ones with 150 episodes because there was so little room on UK TV. Yeah. Yeah, that is, it's really weird to see shows that loomed so large in, like, my childhood, and I look it up, and it's like, they got one season. And it's like, oh, I guess because they just got that one season, like, it was a financial flop, so, like, they kind of had to, like, keep replaying that, and so that's why it kind of looms larger, is they just have this one season to keep replaying it to try and, you know, recoup their losses. I say as if that's how free-to-air television works, but yeah, keep replaying one season, just showing one ep a week. The other weird thing about kids shows is, at least the kids shows of like the early 2000s, growing up, is just how difficult they are to find. They would release them in volumes of like 3 episodes on DVD, and like for them to eventually release the entire show is basically like unheard of. Like they would begin doing it and then they just kind of stop halfway through, and it is just so common of shows of that era where like we don't have like any kind of good box set or DVD, and like they're just being kind of forgotten and stuff. One that really comes to mind is like the 2004 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Fox is like one of my favorite shows, but to try and get all of it is like basically impossible. Although like that's kind of coming back now in a streaming, like that it has been like the only kind of there's something. Streaming has been like kind of saving some of these shows in that they suddenly are finding new life on these platforms, and the companies are now finally willing, that own the rights, are willing to go back and look at these things to put them on streaming just to make a few bucks here and there. And you know, the streaming platforms want them there because it's just more content to fill a platform, especially, you know, when it comes to kids stuff. Got this already made and, you know, hopefully vetted, you know, already received certifications shows, so you don't have to worry about what you're putting on this platform for children. It's either 700 or 6. My pride and joy is your Black Books DVD box set. Oh yeah, a big fan of Black Books. I'm not that crazy about it. I mean, that's what's his face is the transphobic asshole. But I am a big fan of IT Crowd and Father Ted. But yeah, Black Books just never connected with me for some reason. I guess, you know, it was more adult, I guess, and was just in that period of where I was just too young for it all. So like Father Ted was like going back and looking at it, whereas like IT Crowd was coming out when I was like a teenager and I was just right age, you know, for that. So many of the anime with a lot of eps are the ones shilling toys or a game or something. Hugs is Mrs. Bucket plushie. Magoo, you chiming in with that you love IT Crowd and Black Books? Yeah. And I think you know, also it's that kind of Seinfeld is unfunny thing as well, in that like Black Books was also like probably the more revolutionary out of the 3 series. I feel like it had more of an impact in comedy in general, and like the kind of characters you'd see in comedy. Yeah, Bernard feels like he's almost become an archetypal character. You might have a crush on Matt Berry. Okay. See, Matt Berry... Matt Berry, to me, is never playing anyone but Matt Berry. And, like, I don't know, I find that... not tiresome, but... oftentimes I find him strange. Like, he can be put in the wrong thing. Like, he's in an episode of Community. And I'm like, why is Matt Berry here? It's just like the entire time I'm just looking at him and it's like, that's Matt Berry. And maybe some of it is also like, I feel like the Americans just find his pronunciations of words. Dark Place, classic. And, you know, that has had a massive boom, you know, in the internet age. It's not without, like, becoming, you know, turned into a clip show, basically, via YouTube, via highlights. It's like, Dark Space finally found its, like, place in the world. I'm just kind of running around with no purpose, waiting. Oh, I just bumped into one. I was about to say bumping into lions, but there's a green circle on that tree. Where? What does it mean? Where do we... oh, wait, hang on. There's a panel here. Maybe I need to do something with this first. And it looks like it may be attached to... none up there. Eyes up there. A circle up there. That looks kind of like a circle. How would I... Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the ticket. Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's something. Oh, there's one. Are there more? Amazing, though, what we do in the show. I've seen clips of it and definitely want to see that, just for Matt Berry. But yeah, I feel like some of it is also just Americans just love his style, and it just isn't as funny to me. Like, there's a weird phenomenon of, like, American comedians here in Australia who, like, are just really big here, and then there's the vice versa of, like, Australian comedians seem to be really big in America, and I think some of it's just we enjoy listening to a different accent. Like, the different accent is already inherently, like, comedic, and maybe also the different sensibilities can create such a funny outsider perspective on our own cultures. Peep Show, yep. Big fan of David Mitchell, and of course, you know, that Mitchell and Webb look. Yeah, David Mitchell, Richard Ayoade, some of my yeah, if an actor gets cast for just being themselves, yeah. It's just like it can be so. That's why like I have a problem with like the episode he's in Community in is that like it's Matt Berry and he's playing Matt Berry and like no one seems to acknowledge that it's Matt Berry and he just feels he's such a larger than life character. He doesn't exist in the same reality as like Community. It feels like almost like just by his existence being in the show as a character, you've kind of broken that kind of I don't know. I don't have the right film words for it, but like the verisimilitude of the world. Father. Yes. Oh, but actually, you know who's really good is fuck, I've forgotten his name, but the one who plays his dad, the one who's the boss in like the first season of I love him. And what was his show? They did like that radio show that then got turned into a TV show for a while with oh my god, now I'm forgetting everyone's names, but the guy who plays Ellen Partridge, he was on it, stuff like that. That was great. That was a great show. And of course, Brian Blessed, Blackadder, of course, is what I think when I think Brian Blessed. And that brings us to Rowan Atkinson and Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry. Yeah, when John Benjamin was in Bob's Burgers, Archer, and John Benjamin as a van, all airing at the same time, I started thinking in his voice. Yeah, it is, To me, he always is like Bob from Bob's Burgers. Like, I feel like he's got that kind of drawl that fits Bob so much better than it fits Archer. I mean, of course, Archer wouldn't be Archer without that voice. But like, if I was just going in blind, like if I was just a casting director, I would put, you know, him to Bob, then I would sooner than I would to Archer. But, you know, that's also kind of what makes Archer kind of good, is those kind of, you know, being able to see that initial instinct, that kind of casting director like thing, because otherwise then you just get stuck in these kinds of ruts of archetypal, stereotypical characters. Yes, the Day-to-Day and Brass Eye, which all kind of blurred together. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Oh my god, that meme, this is exactly what we didn't want to happen. Oh, so good. Highly recommend looking up clips of those shows. Oh, what was that character, the really foolish reporter? Helen O'Hanrahan, I think is his name. Oh. Yes, Soupy. When they're dressing up pretending to be schools. But we should move. Yeah, I know it did. That basically ended his career. The guy who played the one who played the boss in the first season of I just really love the way he delivers things so stiffly and formally. He's got like this way more he's got this way of delivering his lines that feels even less self-aware than Matt Berry, and it feels great that, you know, Matt Berry came in and played his son. They feel like two sides of the same coin. And I mean, obviously they were also just such perfect kind of Graham Linehan characters. You know, how he's got that kind of very artificial blocking and style to his characters and his shows. You know, it's all very two-dimensional. Yeah, but basically, like, the fallout of that basically ended his career. Like, he hasn't been able to kind of go on and do much since then. Although he's also now got like it's not a birthmark, because I mean it's obviously developed later on, but like he's got this red face, so that might have had something to do with him stepping away from the spotlight, or at least being in front of the camera so much. Yeah, in a different timeline, I think he could have had a much bigger career, to the point that I could actually remember his name even. You think he just used makeup to cover it up before? That's possible, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what. And it could be that, you know, the fallout of the special that we're talking about also was just, you know, part of just becoming exhausted with being in front of the camera all the time, being, you know, the face of things. I'm just bouncing around all over this island. Okay, this is clearly the windmill. It has to be. Let's go have a look at the windmill. I mean, you've got big circular shapes. It must be the windmill. Where is the windmill? That's back there. Archie Crab was 4 years... Yeah, but like, that's like the height of what I know him for, you know? And, you know, even then he gets killed off after like a season. You know, he does still make occasional appearances after dying, but... What are we doing here? Wait a... again, it's another Jonathan Blow patience puzzle. That's what's going on here. I should have known. Jonathan Blow is going to make us wait as this very slow windmill slowly turns around. Okay, now we're over here. We go up there. Yeah, I've rewatched that special, and there are bits of it that are like, I don't know who you're attacking there. And that's, you know, ultimately the question is, as to whether comedy is going to be offensive is like, who are you attacking? Like, who are you punching up or punching down? And, you know, also making that clear as to who you're attacking. Otherwise, you get trapped in that kind of satire paradox, you know, like Colbert was, where, like, people from both sides of the aisle could watch the Colbert Report and come away laughing for different reasons. And, like, that's not a good thing. Like, when you're trying to make satire, if your point isn't coming across, you've created bad satire. Yeah, that was the idea, and like I think that's you know, that's why I do think that okay, all right, I can't go back on myself. I can get off here. Oh, but I can't get on. Okay. Hang on, maybe. No, I think I can change the direction of the windmill. Yeah, and that's why I do think that special got unduly maligned. Is that people thought that they were attacking basically the wrong people, but like they were attacking these these current affairs, these 60-minute programs that. No, it's just on or off. There's no changing direction. Okay. I want to get off up here. That might be. Yeah, but yeah, those current affair things that just use fear-mongering in such, like, disgusting, exploitative ways was, like, clearly the prime target, but at the same time, there are also jokes in there where it's like, I feel like you've strayed too far here. Like, you've lost plot of what you were trying to satirize. You know, you've got to be so careful with a topic like what they chose to tackle. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way around, get off there, and then go where? Everything has to be slow because Jonathan Blow said it had to be that way. Everything has to be slow because Jonathan Blow said it had to be that way. Why is that cloud grey? Jonathan Blow? Why is that cloud grey? Why have you put one grey cloud in the sky? I'm sure there's a reason. I don't think that's how clouds work. I don't think they come in different colors. It's more about their thickness. 4 lines and the day shall come are also very good. That's good to hear. almost certainly won't check them out because I just don't have time for movies these days. But it is good to hear. Right on. Is that all of them? Let's go back to and check the obelisk. Ah, we're missing one. So we did a quarter turn, we've done a half turn. How do we do a full turn? What is this over here? Wonder if that's pointing into town. If so, that could make it more difficult to do. Hard to say which Benjamin voice is the definitive one for you. Yeah, I mean, once you're used to it, I mean, you're kind of... That looks like a circle. But what does that mean? Does it mean anything? And I can't be too close to this obelisk, so what have we missed in between? Oh, these ones on the side. There's paint on the side there. Is that important? Early in Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers. Early in Bob's Burgers, I'd say Archer, but they both have equal weight for me. Yep. But it's like oh, now I'm Kathy Segal. Segal. Now I'm pronouncing it like Segal. Siegel. Kathy Siegel. Being the voice of Leela and obviously Married with Children and things like that. Is that like it was so strange to go back and watch, because obviously I was being younger and the fact it's a cartoon and stuff. I was exposed to Futurama first, so I knew her as just the voice of Leela, and then to go back and watch Married with Children and be like, that's the same voice, and it's so strange, and it feels like such a strange character for it to be playing Peg in Married with Children. Hey, Lazy Kate, thanks for the follow. How you doing? Nice to see you. The thing is weird going back to Frisky Dingo, where the Archer kind of character has Ray Gillette's voice. Oh. Man, Frisky Dingo, that's one that I've only ever been cursorily aware of, being, into the whole Adult Swim thing, but only being, like, into, well, mostly Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but also liking what I saw of, not Space Ghost, but what was the spin-off show? They're making new ones now? Really? Wow. I think I've got was it 10 seasons they made? I think I've got a digital box set of that. The Brak Show. Yes, that's it. Brak. I was going to say something like Brat. I'm like, what was that character's name? But yes, The Brak Show. I like that one. Although, admittedly, I didn't see tons of it. I also liked Moral Oral, which I feel like has seen a bit of a resurgence in recent years. Won't come out until sometime in the future, but yeah, you're excited. Futurama is, I don't know. There's people seem to be rediscovering Moral Oral. There is something to comparing. Love to see a video essay of someone comparing Red Dwarf to Futurama, and the idea of sci-fi comedy is such a fine tightrope to walk, where comedy, at least comedy television, I feel has to have stakes, to a certain degree, or else it's just kind of a bunch of random stuff happening. And I don't know what my point is with that, but it's there's a because I mean it's not Red Dwarf is a more or less ridiculous show than Futurama. You don't think Perfect Hair Forever is going to get a renaissance? Or Squidbillies? What else was from that Adult Swim era? Oh, Robot Chicken. Is Robot Chicken still going? I feel like it's still going. Speaking of stop motion animation. Oh, Sealab 2021. Yes. Yes, I own that. That was a great show. And I think they stopped making it because like the original creators were mad at them for like kind of defiling their show. But yeah, Sealab 2021. It gets cancelled every year, then comes back the following year. Yeah. I think, have they done a new Star Wars special with that? Like, post, like Force Awakens post, new trilogy? Because I haven't seen that. I think the last, Robot Chicken Star Wars special I saw was like number 3, and that one was pretty kind of lame. I didn't like the framing story and stuff like that. Ah, yes, Disney. Yes, that would make it a lot harder to get the rights or like getting scripts past the things. I love that ad where it's George Lucas talking to his therapist, worrying about the Star Wars, the Robot Chicken Star Wars special. It's on the DVD of the first special, and it's just so good. I don't know why it just tickled me so much that it really lodged in my mind. Yeah, it's weird. Like Seth Green and like Breckenmeyer and well, Donald Faison's more just a talent, just a voice. But like that group, that group of like, what was the name of the boy band from what was the name of the boy band from Josie and the Pussycats? Basically, those group of guys like have like remained friends and like worked together and have just been slowly like churning out Robot Chicken every year. Adam West was apparently very pissed what Space Ghost did with his interview. That's interesting because, you know, Adam West has always felt like a rather self-aware kind of person. And, I don't recall what the interview is. So I'd have to see, it makes me interested to see the interview that, it was bad enough for Adam West to get pissed about it. But yeah, Space Ghost feels like another kind of one that was like culturally important, but also one that I never really got into. Oh, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. That is the fucking shit. Love that show. Such a good idea. Such a funny idea. Hanna-Barbera taking those old cartoons and doing, Adult Swim with them. Such a great idea. I think my favorite episodes are probably the Uniboo and the Flintstones one, where Fred Flintstone is like a mafia don. Oh, they cut out any plug he was doing. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. I guess I can understand. There is that kind of understanding of going around doing the talk show circuit that, But they said it was difficult because people would only go on these shows to plug stuff, but the show would take many months to come out, and what they were plugging was irrelevant by that point. Yeah. I wonder what the crossover... excuse me. I wonder what the crossover timeline-wise of like Space Ghost to Eric Andre, and what kind of like how many like of the people who worked on that would say that they were influenced one way or the other by either show. Because they feel like almost like an extension of one another. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know why I didn't commit to my assumption that, you know, I feel like Eric Andre started in like 2004 is my feeling, and of course, Space Ghost was way before that. I'm barely paying attention to this game. I'm just bouncing around, waiting until I find another circle. Let's go up the mountain. It suddenly occurs to me. Actually, let's go down through the swamp. What are you doing in my swamp? Let's not go through the swamp. It is a silly place. Guess you gotta learn patience, yeah. That's actually exactly why I decided not to go through the swamp, was I just realized that there are platforms there that you have to sit on for like 2 minutes as it moves like 1 foot across the swamp. There's a blue thingy there. What am I supposed to... Maybe higher up? There's clearly a dot there. The question is... Oh, maybe that. Like... Higher up still? Maybe from the tree? Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes, we're back to making Monty Python references again. But yeah, I think Monty Python, it kind of is that OG, that example of like something that gets referenced so much that it becomes unfunny. Especially with like the particular crowd that you know, in the early days of like, especially in America, of like the niche people who would see it, you know, was I think even Weird Al Yankovic references it in it, White and Nerdy, as like something nerds do, is referencing Monty Python and the Holy Grail, like reciting it just line for line. And I think that's what like made people very sick of it, is that kind of white nerd culture really latched onto it in America, and the kind of people who would recite it line for line. But also, like, that's also the kind of the beginnings of comedy. Yeah, you could probably recite the whole film. What was the name of that British comedian who did that talk show? And the whole premise was that it was him and his family doing a talk show from the back of their house. Because I remember seeing him on one of these programs, and he was talking about how basically, like, he got a start in comedy by just, like, watching Monty Python and then, like, reciting it for other people the next day, you know, before, you know, there was VHS and stuff. Yeah, you know, you know what I mean, Soupy Doorman. But yeah, it was that guy, and he's, you know, saying, you know, and I think that is so much of, like, how our styles begin and stuff. And it's just how creative endeavors work in many ways, is you take what you like, and, you know, you begin first by copying, and then slowly you begin to find your own voice. and you don't need to copy so directly as much, and it just becomes, well, you know, it's that Picasso quote of like, good artists, what's the quote? Good artists copy, great artists steal. Yeah, the Kuma's at number 42. HHGTT, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. It could well be. It could well be. I mean, it's not much of one. And again, actually, now that I think about it, Hitchhiker's Guide is probably like my go-to of like overly referenced things. When like you see a 42 and it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's a number. Like, yeah. I mean, it's a great joke in in Hitchhiker's Guide, but outside of it, it's just a number. Like, you know, to the point where like, you know, this could it be an entirely just. And actually, that was probably for me where I really began kind of finding my own comedic voice was Hitchhiker's Guide, especially because like the movie, the Martin Freeman one came out at just like the right time when I was a kid. That like I was just really into it, and you know my dad still had like a pirated version of like the VHS of the original series, so we'd watch that as well. And yeah, just Douglas Adams' voice was just so. It's so somehow so unique and also so infinitely copyable. Yeah. I know a lot of people dislike the movie. I haven't rewatched it that recently to know whether I still like it or not, but it was what introduced me to it. But also at the same time, it's also not what I think of when I think of the characters. You know, I mean, for one thing, the characters exist in so many different forms. I can't, when I'm reading the books, I don't imagine any one particular actor or anything. They are so more ambiguous to me in my mind. But last time I watched the movie, I don't hate it, and I think a lot of the changes are for the better. And, you know, I think a lot of purists at the time said, like, oh, they've changed this and changed that. And it's like, yeah, but Hitchhiker's Guide was always changing. Like, it changed from the radio show to the books to the TV series to, you know, every single version was different. And, you know, Adams was always tweaking and changing things. And, like, a lot of the changes that happened in the movie were, like, changes that Adams himself wrote before he died, you know. Casting you don't have so much problem with as much as the writing. Yeah. I do feel like it's probably the best version of Trillian. Even if it is Zooey Deschanel. I do think that they tried to do the most with her, whereas like she's such a minor character in the other versions, to the point where like she's gone by like a fourth book. My thought after I saw it was that they trimmed the film down by cutting out the punchlines. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have to rewatch it to really try and pin down my thoughts and feelings on the movie. What are all these vines doing up here? Is there something in there? Something in the shadows? Something in the way. Oh. No. And of course, this must be a boat thing. Hang on. Let's get back down to the boat this way. I think the Trillian Challenge just made her cliched, the cliched damsel in distress love interest. Change, rather. Yeah, I really liked, what was it, the point of view gun. I thought that was an interesting change in which she kind of regains agency over some of the male characters, especially like Zaphod. No, I feel like maybe my go-to version of Hitchhiker's Guide is actually the comic book, which is probably one of the most least known versions of it. But of course, being comic book, it was a lot less bound by what was physically possible. You have the comic? Okay. You know, it could do a lot more of the stranger jokes from the books. But also, at the same time, the books, they don't have, I'm going the wrong way. Like, they don't have, like, super strong identifiable characters. Like, the characters don't have strong voices because Douglas Adams has such a thick style that, like, every character kind of speaks in his voice. Every situation is in his kind of authorial voice, which is a good thing. I think that's what makes the books all infinitely readable. Yeah, I do think that the movie was trying to twist the story into a traditional narrative. But, like, at the same time, it's kind of what a movie has to be. So, in that sense, I do kind of enjoy... I mean, I'd love to see more. I'd love to see a, like a new Netflix series of it. Like, they did, what was it, Dirk Gently. Yeah, I'd love to see, like, a Netflix series of it and stuff. Because, that is really the best we could get to anything live action when it comes to, Right, now we need to turn around. Know that the yellow thing seems to be only accessible from one direction. No, a mini-series or something. It's really the only way to do it. Especially because they are so, not episodic, but, what's the term I'm looking for? Stories are so just one thing after another that they're sprawling. There isn't like a big story structure to it in many regards, which, you know, kind of makes sense. You know, starting life is like a radio show and stuff like that. It's serialized. That's what I'm thinking of. Serialized. Yeah, not episode. Oh, a dead boat. I didn't. Oh. There is a music player in that boat. Yeah. I think I'm thinking of the right word. Serialized as opposed to episodic. Whereas episodic is like, you still have the traditional narrative, but they're shorter and they kind of like happen one after another and maybe don't have a larger overarching narrative. Whereas like serialized is like everything's kind of long and meandering, more like a webcomic would be like my example. Something that's like that, where you don't need to have starts and stops or like chapters even. It's just kind of like more like life, just kind of.
Suppose a boat is crossing a river and another empty boat is about to collide with it. Even an irritable man would not lose his temper. But supposing there was someone in the second boat, then the occupant of the first would shout to him to keep clear, and if the other did not hear the first time, nor even when called 3 times, bad language would inevitably follow. In the first case, there was no anger. In the second, there was. Because in the first case, the boat was empty, and in the second, it was occupied. And so it is with man. If he could only roam empty through life, who would be able to injure him? Shuangzi, 4th century BC.
Good stuff, Jonathan Blow. Oh, I want to go there. Where am I going now? Where am I going now, Jonathan Blow? Jonathan Blow, save me! Oh. Jonathan Blow, help! Oh, I was supposed to go down there? How do I get down there? Wait, maybe I need to go into the color thing and open up the... Come on, ding, 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 ding. Well, episodic is like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, rather than everything together. Like trying the Earth destruction to Zaphod to make all things tie together by the end. Yep. It is more coherent. I'm trying to think. I think what I'm trying to think of is something, Folding Ideas, Dan Olson, Folding Ideas on YouTube, said in like his 50 Shades of Grey videos, where he's talking about the trying to make a movie out of what was just a serialized fan fiction, where each chapter is kind of churned out without thinking about what the next chapter's going to be. Kind of in the same way that, like, Douglas Adams was writing the original kind of Hitchhiker's Guide radio show. As the way those kinds of Flash Gordon film serials and radio shows were often want to be. Oh, hello. Alright, now, I also completely forgot where I was going. I want to go into the color house, open up that orange box. I feel like that might be able to get me through that yellow line. But now I'm seeing circles everywhere. It's just like, every time there's like a little round patch in the grass, I'm like, is that a circle? Is this a circle? See what I mean? I'm like, oh, is that it? I don't think it's it, but it could be it. Maybe there's a green one here as well, because we've got this green moss about the place. Is it just the yellow one, or is there a green one here that I'm missing? That's a circle, but it's not connected to anything. Yep, no, it's open. Yes, I want to open this up. Please and thank you. Oh, did I do the wrong one? Yeah, that's better. You're gonna go grab some lunch, so you're gonna lurk? Well, thank you, Soupy Doorman, for the wonderful conversation. And thank you for lurking, and thanks for showing up even in the first place. It is always wonderful to have these deep conversations there. My favorite part of streaming. Where we just rabble about things, rather than focusing too much on the game. Although the games can be fun. They're not really why I do this. I do these streams for you, for interacting with people. That's the real joy of it all. The games are just a fun distraction that goes on in the background. Most of the time. Everything has to be slow because Jonathan Blow said it had to be that way. How am I supposed to get down there? Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death construction. Thanks to everyone else who's lurking around out there. It's always nice to have you with us. Okay, let's go down there. Where do we go from here? Ah, there we go. That's how we do it. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. I wonder which obelisk this is going to go to. There we go. Ba-boom. Oh, that one up there. Now, is there anything more going on up here? I see like green dots of like foliage and stuff. Gosh, that mountain looks weird from this angle. Now that I really look at it. It's like a collection of like Lincoln logs or something all stacked together. But we have reached the 2-hour mark, so maybe we'll go for one last boat ride just to see what we can see. And then we may call it a stream. And thank you, Magoop, for the little dancing emote thing, celebrating me doing that big yellow one. That is a momentous occasion. A very clear and obvious one that needed to be knocked off the list. That feels like something. Is that something? Might be nothing. All these trees connect somehow. What about all this white? Is that anything? Hang on. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Let's go back one last time. A sailor went to sea to see what he could see, but all that he could see was the bottom of the bleak blue sea. Bleak blue? No. Ah, thank you, Magoop. But you know that I can't accept the award for most humble. For I am the most humble. And therefore cannot accept awards. And there we go. I think we'll call it a stream. It was kind of nice to return to the world of the Witness. I hadn't really missed it, but now that I'm back, no, it's. I feel like finding out the negative space things. It's just a lot more fun because it's just Where's Waldo. It's just searching for hidden objects basically, instead of having to actually do any thinky puzzles too much. Let's go to Twitch, see who's online. Oh, and it's just one person. Lucid Doob. So yes, we'll call that a stream. Thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you Lazy Kates for following. Thank you Devilbird for following in the meantime. And of course, thank you to Magoop, Super Doorman. Who else showed up? Big Hattie, of course. Thank you for showing up and being my mod and a special person in the world. Thanks Astrid for showing up. Who else showed up today? Just you guys? Well, I say just you guys as if you guys aren't the best ones in the world, the most humble audience. Of course, me being the most humble person in the world would have the most humble audience. So let us get a raid started. If I can not do that backwards. Yep, that raid is about to get ready. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Yes, I hope so too. I do feel like I'm getting over my anxieties. I feel like I'm coming to terms with some things. And yeah, I love you all. I'll see you all on Wednesday, same time, or Friday, or next Monday, depending on your schedules and whether you enjoy coming to these streams. So yeah, we're gonna raid into Lucid Doob. She is a very nice, soft VTuber who does art most of the time. I think she doesn't have her mic on, so you'll see her just chatting in chat. But she has a lovely voice, but she tends not to use her mic when she's doing art. So yeah, say hi, and let us go. Bye-bye.